Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. See your favorite host, Ideal Lady Amarachi, and I'm so excited to have us here again with another amazing guest, Emmanuel, with whom we're going to be discussing on our artificial talk show again, where he's going to be sharing his real life experiences and stories on struggles he overcome in life and strategies he used in overcoming them. So, if you are going through any situation currently, or having any challenge, please stay back in the channel because someone's about to share some interesting story that is going to inspire you. Maybe the story that is going to give you ways on how you can come out from whatever challenge you are facing currently. So please like the video, subscribe, and remember to share this video if it inspires you. So once again, you're welcome to the show, Mr. Emmanuel.
Hello, everybody. Good day. Yeah, I count it a very great privilege to be part of the show, and all thanks to the Ideal Lady Amara Chuku.
I'm so happy to have you. So, sir, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? Our audience would really love to know about you.
My name is Emmanuel, and I'm a global speaker. I'm a writer, content writer, and I'm a poet. And then what else? I'm a student. Yeah, I'm a 300 level student of animal science in Alex Ikume Federal University. I'm just a young man who is passionate about creating change. I'm a global change maker, and that's basically what I do. I help young people understand purpose and help them, show them the path to achieving what they want to achieve in life. So that's it, and I'm super excited to be on the show today. Thanks so much to the Ideal Lady for putting together this series. I've been following the other series, and it's been value packed all through. And I so much believe that today we're going to learn so much. And once again, welcome to the talk show.
So tell us, what is challenges you faced, and tell us what they are and how you were able to overcome them.
Okay, thank you so much, Amara Chuku, for having me on the show. Now, basically, there's a whole lot of things we're going to be talking about. But first, we're going to be talking about something, about a hurdle I overcame. And, that's something that most young people are struggling with. And I'm privileged that I'm sharing personal experience. I'm privileged that I'm sharing a personal experience, and I definitely look forward to that time when I'll be able to share, that information with young people, and I'm glad this opportunity has come. So now, let me quickly take you back on the journey. The journey for me started 2016. But 2018 was the turning point, right? 2016 was the beginning of another season for me, but 2018 was when the whole thing about finding myself and becoming, staying on track to who I want to become, it all started in 2018. Now, very shortly, I'm going to just try to pinpoint all the strategic points in this story. So the 2016, July 28th precisely, I left secondary school. Young guy who was out of secondary school, you just want to explore and you just want to head on to the next thing for you, and you're asking, what's the next thing, what else do I have to achieve, you understand? So basically, I was that young man. I'm out of secondary school, right? I just want to move forward. I just want to become something better. I just want to achieve something for myself. This is what I want to do. All right. And then, my dad stepped in and he was like, okay, you're out of secondary school fresh. Why are you waiting to write jam? Why not, get something doing? Now, let me say this. Most young people the moment they leave secondary school, there's this mistake we do. We feel, okay, the next thing should be getting admission, right? Writing jam, getting admission, going to the university. I understand that, that catch of you just want to flow with your guys, you want to flow with everybody, the way everybody is doing everything. But let me say, I'm going to be dropping some lessons in between the story. Now, first lesson is that everybody is doing or following the same path doesn't mean you should follow that same path. All right, now that's the lesson. Now let's go back to the story. So he said I should get something doing. He helped me. I got a job in a classroom. I was teaching primary 3, primary 4, primary 5, and boom, 2017 I was already teaching secondary school. I was handling, I think I was teaching civic, biology, and mathematics. So I was alternating it. For mathematics, I was handling the primary section. So 2018, I became in charge of social activities in school. I was like a social master, that kind of a thing. So we organized a career talk for the students. So that was where the question came. Somebody asked me, a student asked me that question. He said, "Sir, you're talking about purpose," because one of the speakers was teaching on purpose. If we're talking about purpose, sir, are we living for, and the whole thing about living your purpose, are we living for ourselves or for people? Are we living for ourselves? That question was striking, and the way the question came, right now, it was later I understood what she was asking. What she was asking is, in living out our purpose, are we just living to bear the name that, okay, yes, this is what I was able to achieve, or are we living out to impact in other people? So indirectly what she was asking was about impact, right? Personal impact, collective impact to people around you, reaching out to so many lives, living your life in such a way that people are impacted by you, people get to learn so many values from you. So that was basically what she was asking. Now, that question, I must confess, that question threw me off balance. But it was later on, that month, I went for a conference. That was my first conference as a young person. So the person who was speaking in that conference was Dr. Mrs. Chinemema Omisaka. I can't forget. She was, at that time, that was when Governor Kezipazu was the governor of Abia State. So she was the, I think, senior special advisor on teenage matters. So she was talking about, the whole program was about youth and purpose. So she was talking about, so many things. Then she asked a specific question. What are you doing now that people can look at 5-6 years from now and be glad that you did it? Because they are walking in the same line and they are happy that they took that step to copy you and to emulate you. So whatever you're doing now has a whole lot to do with 5-10 years from now. So now that's lesson number 2. That's lesson number 2. Our impact is not measured now. Yes, our impact is measured as time goes on. All right, so whatever we do today has a whole lot to do with our future. Whatever we do today can be measured 5-10 years from now. All right, so now back to the story. So that whole thing helped me. I started thinking about it. I started reading books. So it was that 2018 that everything changed for me. Now, it was 2020 I understood the hurdle I was facing. It was 2020 that I fell into that pool, I fell into that mud water, and I started swimming in it, and it cost me a whole lot, but then I was able to find my way out of it. Now, 2019 was COVID, 2020 COVID, sorry, then 2021. But during the period of COVID, I started reading books. I started, listening to people. I started, listening to coaches, listening to people teach, looking at other people's work. Now, the hurdle, mark this, the hurdle I was facing was originality. Staying original to myself, finding out my unique point and staying on it. That's a very big problem. It was a very big problem for me because I was copying other people's content. I went into content writing. I was copying other people's content. I was trying to be like this person. I was trying to blend in just to go with the flow. but I was not living according to my how do I put it? I was not living according to my uniqueness. I was trying to live according to that person's uniqueness. So that's the hurdle. The hurdle is originality. Now, first of all, let me say this very clearly. Everybody is created with a solution to a problem. The only issue is finding it out, right? So one thing I believe is, which is lesson number 3, is that our uniqueness is the solution we bring to the problem of society. Our uniqueness is the solution we bring to the problem of society. So basically, I was struggling with that. It was really a hurdle, because I ended up at some point plagiarizing people's content, right? I ended up copying other people's stuff, copying other people's lifestyle, copying other people's attitude. I just wanted to be that guy, that is going with the flow. So I was doing it the wrong way by copying other people. So that was a very serious issue for me. It was a hurdle, and it was so tough, because at some point I now found it so difficult to stay on course, to stay in line with that thing I was copying. I didn't know, okay, because there's this thing with your uniqueness. Your uniqueness is you don't struggle being you, but you struggle copying other people. So basically, I was struggling copying other people. I was struggling trying to stay through, just make sure you maintain that whole thing. This whole thing of, let's say, you don't like chicken. You don't like chicken, you like fish. But for you not to look weird to your friends or to people, you start forcing yourself to eat chicken. At some point, you now find it very difficult because of what it now starts doing to your health and all. So basically, that was what was happening to me. So, but I got to find out that our uniqueness is what makes us valuable. In fact, our uniqueness is a specific solution to a specific problem. Our uniqueness, I'm going to say it again, our uniqueness is a specific solution to a specific problem. So that was basically the hurdle I was facing.
Are you serious? So what syphilis do you use? So what method do you use?
Okay, now I'm gonna chip in something before I talk about how I overcame it. Now every problem or every challenge you come across as a young person is an opportunity to grow, right? So I was struggling with the problem, right? But I was growing. Now, the growth there was I was gaining more understanding about staying original. Now, how did I overcome it? Overcoming originality is a problem for most young persons, which I understand. Okay, I understand. Now, let me say this before I go straight to the answer of that question. When I was struggling with that issue, of staying original, staying true to myself, it wasn't funny. Yeah, it wasn't funny because I literally lost myself. And I began to live a life separate from who I was supposed to be or what I was supposed to do. Now, it so damaged me to the point where I was not just trying to maintain originality when it comes to what I do. It moved down to family. Now, there was this thing that happened in the house, and my dad does these things in a specific way. My dad takes his tea with boiled water, like really boiled water. But I love my tea with warm water, right? Even if it's going to be hot, just a little bit. So I wanted to try it out, I wanted to try it out and be like my dad. I wanted to see, why is this man always wanting boiled water? So I tried it. Ladies and gentlemen, you see this mouth? It underwent rehabilitation because the number of scars on the mouth wasn't funny. Like literally up, down, my tongue, my gum had issues. But I was hiding it, because that's one thing with originality. when you are trying to fit into a shoe that is not your size, you end up squeezing your face to the pain. That's another lesson. When you try to fit into a shoe that is not your size, you end up squeezing your face to the pain. All right, so that was basically what I was going through, and it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny, but thank God I was able to break out of it. Now let me answer that question. How were you able to break out of it? How I overcame it? I overcame it by 3 steps. Number 1 is the observation. Yeah, I know somebody is going to ask, what's that? Number 1 is observation. Number 2 is the decision, and number 3 is the action. Hold on, don't rush. Allow me to talk. Now, if you're a young person listening to me now, I need you to grab, if you've not been writing, I need you to grab a pen and a paper right now, because what I'm about to share is $1 million secret. $1 million secret. Observation, decision, and action. 3. So if you're writing, I need you to structure it. Breaking out of hurdles. In brackets, originality. Because I know that's what most people are struggling with. Finding out that distinct, unique thing about themselves. So breaking out of the hurdle. In brackets, originality. Now the 3 steps. Write it horizontally. This is vertically. This is horizontally. So observation, decision, action. I'm going to give a little bit of explanation so that you understand. I think I'm going to dwell on this more because that's specifically the major idea for the talk show. So number 1, observation. Now, number 1 thing you write under observation, which I did, is trace out where it started from, right? Trace out where it started from. Now, one thing I discovered where it started from was, the clamor for growth, the clamor to become great, the clamor to not be different, the clamor to, because there's this thing with young people, they think being different is being naive. They think being different is, failing because you're not doing what your friends are doing, because you're not doing what other people are doing, you're not following this particular trend. I've had even till now, I've had some people who are close to me, tell me something about you've never joined any trend, right? And I keep asking the question, why joining a trend when I can create a trend from my life? One thing I've discovered is the moment you become valuable, the moment you find out that you are a solution to a problem, your solution becomes a trend, right? So somebody started the nothing do my shoulder trend, right? And guess what it did? It gave people a lot of confidence. Yes, there were people who never believed they could sit in front of a camera. There are people who never believed they would record themselves on camera doing something. But everybody's now doing nothing do my shoulder, I am this, nothing do my shoulder, I discovered that next of kin, nothing do my shoulder, I discovered this, nothing. Basically, the person who started that trend must have seen the gap in self-confidence. He must have seen that there is a long gap between young people and self-confidence. So he wanted to probably start up something that can make people confident of themselves. So you don't see people affirming themselves, self-affirmation, self-declaration. And there were a whole lot of people I know who jumped on that trend, who found out so many better things about themselves simply by jumping on that trend. So when you become valuable, your results become a trend. All right. Now trace where it all started. I was able to trace where it all started. I wanted to be part of the moving train, the so-called moving train, of young people who just came out of secondary school and they want to make an impact in life. So that was it. That was number 1. Number 2 is measure where you are now. When you're trying to copy someone, when you're trying to blend in, you start going down the drain. You now look at from where I was to now, am I better? You find out that you're not even better, you're even growing worse because you try to be like other person, and then you now find yourself struggling to do the kind of things they do to be able to maintain that standard. And social media has not even really helped. Social media has not really helped because you now find most young people trying to be like this person, trying to be like that person, and they end up going extreme just to be that person. Now let me go to the decision making. Now wait, before I go to decision making, let me say something else about the observation. You need to find out how those people were able to build that life, right? I observed, I took my time to observe some of the young people I know who I wanted to copy. And I now found out something. These people were actually living their original life. I was just the one trying to blend into their original life. So it was easier for them to live that life, but it was difficult for me because that was not my life. Alright, that was not my life. I wanted to do something that they were doing, which I thought was going to work for me. Alright, and that brings me to another lesson. I'm going to use a proverb and I'm going to explain. And this is the proverb. A man building with sand should not try to crack stone like the man building with rocks. A man building with sand should not try to crack stones like the man building with the rock. The man building with the rock cracks stone in a particular way because he knows what he wants. The man building with sand, the moment you try to crack stone like the man building with the rock, you end up injuring yourself. So what it definitely means is do not try to blend into a life that is someone else's original life. Don't lose your original life trying to play a part in another person's original life. Don't try to copy a script that you did not write for yourself. Or don't try to act in a movie where the script is not yours. Okay? Now, let's get back to number 2, was decision. In this decision, I'm going to talk about something, but I will explain it more the next question I'm going to answer. Now, in the decision making, there's a book I'm writing, and one of the topics or subtopics in that book is called the 21-minute rule. I'm going to explain it more very soon. The 21-minute rule, where I said the first 21 minutes of your decision matters and can determine the result. The first 21 minutes. It takes less than 21 seconds to incubate a thought. It takes less than 21 seconds to incubate a thought, but the first 21 minutes of dwelling on that thought can either determine a positive outcome or a negative outcome. Alright, so I made the decision, and the decision was very painful because the decision included stepping backward from the so-called light you think you are in because you're copying another person's life. I had to step backwards, I had to step out of the line, and it was very difficult because you literally have to remind yourself every day that, okay, no, I'm trying to be me, I'm trying to be me, I'm not going to do this again, I'm not going to copy this again, I just want to be me, right? So basically, it was a very tough one for me, and sorry, it was basically a very tough one for me, and it wasn't easy for me though, but I was able to take that step. I had to step out of the line, and I had to start being myself. So I started reading books, I started attending classes, I started making researches online. That was the first time I stumbled on the book Why You Act the Way You Do. I started studying about temperament, I started studying about characteristics of people, I started studying people. I started looking inwards to myself. Okay, what are the things I do best? What are the things I know I can do? Are there things someone can wake me up from sleep and I can do them? I started discovering myself, and that was what led me to taking the actions I took. And one of the actions I took was to lock up. It's called the lock-up theory, where you lock yourself up for the next 3 months. When I mean lock up, I don't mean entering a house literally and close door and shut down and not coming out. Lock up in the sense that you withdraw from public light. You withdraw from trying to showcase yourself. You build secretly. You stay in silence. You shut down. You don't always just come up and show yourself. You have to lock in lock up and lock in. That's what I call it. Lock up and lock in, where you have to stay down and prepare and learn and study about yourself and research a whole lot. Ask yourself certain questions and be able to, come up with relevant answers. So that was one of the actions I took. One of the other actions I took was responding to mentorship. Responding to mentorship. This is a problem that most young people have. They don't want to respond to mentorship, and it's very, very difficult for you to see a young person who responds to mentorship very well and stays under them. Sometimes we begin to feel, okay, this person is controlling my life. At some point I felt like that. I'm telling you life experience. At some point I felt like that. I once had a clash with my mentor where foolish me, I once exchanged words with my mentor, but I'm glad and I'm excited that the relationship was mended back, in as much as I know that trust will not be as 100% as it was, and I lost access to one of the biggest communities I've ever been part of. But I had to learn the hard way, so I wouldn't want you to learn the hard way. So you got to listen to what I'm going to say next. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is this: do not be quick. Hold on and listen. Do not be quick to show yourself. That's another trick. Do not be quick to show yourself. That was one of the other action I took. Do not be quick to come out and on social media and start posting. Do not be quick to start shouting and ranting about yourself. This is what I do. This is who I am. The world has to hear me out. The truth is, the world would always hear everybody out, but not at the same time, not at the same pace. All right. So that was one of the actions I took. I had to calm down. I had to shut down. I had to keep quiet for a while, and I had to focus on certain things and build myself very well. So basically, these are the 3 ways I was able to achieve and step out of that hurdle.
Wow. If you're enjoying the series, please give us a thumbs up, like this video, and remember to share after watching. So I know you might be having some negative thoughts when you are pressing search. So how did you refrain from such negative thoughts when they were coming to your mind?
Okay, that question is very important. How was I able to refrain from negative thoughts? How was I able to deal with negative thoughts? Wow. We cannot deny the fact that negative thoughts will come. We can't deny the fact. But the problem is not the thoughts coming. The problem is dwelling on the thoughts and what comes out of the thoughts later. Because one thing I've discovered is everybody most times comes to that point where we feel and we think, okay, this thing is happening. Should I think about it or not? We're literally struggling with thinking about, that whole thing and all. But once in a while, I've thought something very negative about myself. Yeah. I had a time when I totally shut down because I started thinking very low of myself, started thinking about certain things that I shouldn't be thinking about. But one of the ways I was able to refrain from it was I practiced the 21 minutes rule, 21 minutes principle, which I said I'm talking about in my book. You get to explain. I'll get to hear more about it in the book when it's released. I'll inform Amara so that she can share it to the community too. Now, one of the 21 minutes rule says incubating your thoughts can either take you up or drag you down. Incubating your thoughts. Now, we all incubate thoughts, but it depends on the kind of thoughts we incubate, positive or negative. Now, weighing the balances of your thoughts matters a whole lot. Weighing the balances. I had to weigh, if I dwell on these negative thoughts, what would they end me, or where would they end me? If I switch over and shut down my mind from negative thoughts, what would it end me? The other one is where would it end me? The other is what would it end me? What would I earn? What would I gain? The other side is what would I lose? So I weigh the balances. So you need to learn to weigh your thoughts on the scale, weigh it on the balances of results. There is a scale called the scale of results, the scale of outcome. If you weigh your thoughts, will they give you a negative outcome or a positive outcome? I think that alone would help you understand what you are doing. It will help you, be able to scale up and up. So I had to take that decision I had to dwell on my decisions. I had to, listen to myself. I had to weigh the balances.
You see, he has said it all. So, sir, what advice or what word do you have for our audience who are watching us today?
My advice to young people is this. From the whole story, story and all, it all boils down to three things. Number one is purpose. Number two is preparation and planning. And number three is pursuit.
I'm so happy to have you on the channel. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring my invitation, and I hope to have you again on my next series. Until then, I'm still your favorite host, ID Lady, and I'm so happy to have Mr. Emmanuel today. Please like the video, subscribe, and remember to check in here for our next common guest.